I already know myself. What what more should I know from self-knowledge? Self-knowledge is not knowing more about yourself. Self-knowledge is dropping the ignorance of the self. It is not about accumulation of more knowledge. It is not about reading more scriptures and building a concept of the self. When you say, I know myself, there is a reality in that. Everybody has a direct experience of self. Every other experience is secondary. The moment I become aware of some object, first I become aware of myself, the subject, and then I become aware of the object. For becoming aware of the object, I need sense organs and the mind. But my self-awareness doesn't depend on the object. It is an intuitive knowledge. It's a direct experience. If you ask somebody, are you conscious? Do you exist? The answer is obviously, yes, I exist. I am conscious. Existence and consciousness is our direct intuitive experience. No proof is required. No sense organs or mind is required because it is our direct experience. It's called aparoksha jnana. But that direct experience gets covered during transaction. The attention shifts the transaction, attention shifts to the objects of the world, then self-awareness gets masked. The transactional identity becomes the reality. During the interaction with the self world, I need to use the body-mind complex. Over a period of time, the self-awareness gets covered with the self-knowledge which is acquired during transaction. I start feeling myself as a limited body-mind complex. While my real self, my eternal self, my own nature is infinite and blissful. That's Brahman. So now I start considering myself as body, mind, and intellect complex. This is not a reality. It's a superimposition on the real self. It's like a rope gets superimposed on a rope. When you see a rope in the night, it may appear like a snake. Nothing has happened to the rope, but snake is superimposed on the rope. Like that, on my real self, which is infinite Brahman, pure consciousness, the body-mind complex gets superimposed. It's a superimposition, it's not a reality. The snake seen in the night has to be uncovered by shining a torch on that. Similarly, jnana or wisdom has to shine on my self-knowledge to remove the ignorance of the self. So for this, we call it as Atma-jnana or self-knowledge or Brahma-vidya. But lost in the transactions of the day-to-day world, everybody forgets his true nature. And transactions in life bring happiness and unhappiness, sorrow and joy, anger and fear, and stress. This builds up as more and more impressions, and more we feel disconnected from the real self, the supreme self, Brahman, who is my nature. The layers and layers of impressions get built up during day-to-day transaction, because transaction and sense perception overrides our self-awareness, self-knowledge. Self-knowledge is always direct, aproksha. But sense perception overrides the self-knowledge. To bring back our own reality, we need to learn how to go back to the self by dropping the ignorance. This is the path of Atmadnana. This is the path of self-recognition. It doesn't mean study of more scriptures, stuffing yourself with more knowledge. It only means dropping the ignorance of the self. By knowing Nanembudu, Nanalla, Ideha, Manabuddhi, Nanalla, Sachidanandatma, Shivananani, Shivoham, Shivoham, Shivoham. I am pure consciousness. The pure consciousness. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect. I'm pure consciousness. This recognition has to happen. Brahmasutra, Vedanta, teaching by the realized masters, helps you to remove the ignorance of self. So when you say self-knowledge to acquire, it is not not addition, but deletion, dropping.